Hello there Internet, Demajen here. I've done a lot of work on my website recently. It's had a lot of features that people have requested added to it. It works hopefully better than ever on both desktop and mobile devices, though if it's struggling for you, do please let me know. Just want to very quickly talk you through a few of the things that I've done. First of all, we've upped the contrast and colours on certain things. We have added a wide variety of different ways that you can sort the information on the main maps page. It will remember which of these you select, so if you want them alphabetical, you can select that and leave it at that. I like to have it at latest because I like to remind myself just what it is that I've been doing for the last 24 hours or whatever. I've added a section on for contact damage, which was a highly requested feature from multiple people. They wanted to know which games did or did not have contact damage, so that information is on there, and you can even search for, if you put no contact into the box, it will filter out everything and leave you only with games that do not have contact damage, which I thought was actually quite a useful feature to add. We've had button changes, we've had layout changes just to make things less overlappy on certain devices. That is all done. Not a lot has changed on the tier list page. It's still organised pretty much exactly the same way. I have slowly been going through and adding on the little positives and negatives for the games. There are also a handful of games that are quite old that should have been on here, but for some reason weren't, like Guacamelee 2, which for some reason hadn't got an entry, and I'm not entirely sure why. So I think there were 7 or 8 games that weren't on here before that I've played and are now on here. The not played page obviously just gets updated with games that have released that I haven't played yet. They're still in oldest to newest order. Let me know what you think about changing that so that it's latest games first. I kind of feel that that would be more useful and less scrolling for people. Don't know. This is for you guys, not for me. I know which of these I haven't played. Likewise, we've got the upcoming page. This is arranged according to what is coming out the soonest. So as I'm recording this on the 17th of November, you can see that we've got the early access for Fatal Claw coming out tomorrow. And we've got Constance coming out on the 24th. It is organised, if I can get this right, by concrete dates, so 18th of November, and then quarters and or months, and then just general year. That's the way I've got it organised, and as far as I can tell, it works fine. My Souls page still needs an overhaul. The look of it still isn't right. It doesn't fit in with the rest of the site. I need to work on that, but it's the least viewed page on my site, so it is what it is. Retrospective page, as always, gives you links to the different maps that I did in what year. This has been fully updated to take advantage of extra back-end stuff that I have done. Certain years, 2022 onwards, essentially have got a video link as well. Obviously there's not one for 2025 because I haven't done that yet because the year is not over. These pages simply show you what maps I did in a particular year and what order I did them in. Even if my definition of mapping in certain cases, for example the Siege and the Sandfox, is very, very loose. I pulled out the map from the game files and stuck it in a folder. But it is what it is. So, something that is brand new, and for some reason isn't showing up on all pages, there we go, is the Metroidvania likes and dislikes tab. I get accused, not necessarily harshly or meanly, of being quite critical of video games. I have been called by one person as a miserable old man who hates everything, which is not true. I don't hate everything. Old, yes, miserable quite often, but I like to think that actually I'm quite consistent with what I do and do not like. And in an effort to, and don't get me wrong, I'm under no illusions that this is actually going to combat people attacking my character because I don't like the thing that they like. I've been through and I have written down, essentially, in a series of little drop-down tabs here, what it is that I like and dislike in the Metroidvania games that I play. And I think if you read through it, you will find that actually I'm pretty darn consistent with the things that I do like and don't like. I'm not going to read these out to you. You're going to have to read these for yourselves, but you can see the categories here. And you'll notice that there are more things that I don't like than things that I don't like, and that I do like. And some of you might say, oh, well, that just proves our point. You don't like everything. It's like, no, actually, the things that I've got here that I don't like are very specific things. An awful lot of them are quality of life things, but some of them are just specific gameplay features like, for example, contact damage, or spongy enemies, or missables, or hard checkpointing, are things that are very, very specific, but when they show up I don't like them. Whereas some of the things that I do like are much more general in terms of, well, why do I like this genre? What are the things that I like Metroidvanias to have? So this took me somewhere in the region of over 6 hours today to write. I must admit, I'm not entirely sure why it took me that long, but it did. So each of these drop downs has got several paragraphs, so you know, chances are you're not going to want to read this all in one go, but it has got, in my typical kind of sarcastic prose style, examples of games that I think that do the things well, examples of things that I think of games that I think don't do the thing well, what I like in terms of combat, why I like having a defensive power at the start, how I think Metroidvania powers should operate in a flexible way. Thoughts on narratives, thoughts on the use of a minimap, which I like but not everybody does, ideas about relics and charms, something about the consistent and coherent art style, including the Unity asset store effect that I talk about a lot in my Next Fest demo videos, some bits and pieces about music and soundscape. And then the same goes for the negatives. You know, some categories are so broad that I don't need to give specific game examples, like contact damage. Things like contact damage and knockbacks, however, which is a specific pet peeve of mine, as Symphony of the Night, Mummy Demastered, recently Possessors, you know, that feeling of you've taken damage from touching something and now you are flying all the way down to the bottom of the level until you hit solid ground. That just bugs me. Stunt locking, very situational. Animation locking, very situational. Spongy enemies, there's a good chunk of stuff in there, including a little bit of a rant about Silksong. Lack of enemy variety, bits and pieces on that. Bosses turning around mid-attack, that annoys me. It shouldn't happen, in my opinion. And of course, there are several sections on where I think maps and map systems in-game don't work, including my thoughts on grid-based maps, Ender Lily's map, room colours changing, and so on and so forth. Maps that don't fill out as you go, i.e. the Hollow Knight style of doing things. I know some people like this. I don't, because I get lost really easily. It's why I started making maps in the first place. I don't like the way Hollow Knight does it. I also don't like the way the Grime did it. Particularly, a lot of people have got it in their head that, oh, you know, I love Grime and I'll never hear a bad thing about it. No, I've made plenty of critiques of Grime. I'm a bit disappointed that Grime 2 seems to be going down the same road in terms of the beacon system. I've ranted about poor custom map markers many a time, and I've even included the ones that I feel are the best examples, which are from Hack. So you can take a look at, you know, that, as well as a fairly significant example from Guns of Fury, which I played not all that long ago. Missables in games. I've pointed out blasphemous here because that was arguably the most egregious for me. Inadequate fast travel. That's a big one. Recently, I watched a chunk of Metroidvania Guru's review for, is it Gigablade, or whatever it is, that came out recently, and it very clearly mentions, very specifically mentions, there's no fast travel in the game. I was going to pick it up, but that alone has caused me to say, you know what, I might wait and see if that gets patched in. So, inadequate fast travel is a pet peeve of mine. Hard checkpointing, many of you will have heard me rant about before. I do not like having my time wasted in terms of, oh, you've got to do all of these things again, because that's no longer exploration. There's no thrill in finding things for a second time. It's finding things for the first time that I enjoy. And it does, of course, lead to that situation where a couple of hours later, you find the place where you need to use MacGuffin X, and you no longer have MacGuffin X because you'd forgotten that you died and not saved, or not made it to a save point after picking it up. That bugs me. And finally, and this is a minor peeve and a very general one, I don't like unskippable cutscenes or dialogue. Most of the time I will read them. But there comes a point where certain things are, shall we say, overwritten and drag on. And I at least want to have the button to move the text forwards faster if I so desire, because I can read a lot faster than a lot of people can talk. Or a prompt that lets me skip things entirely, which is especially useful on multiple playthroughs. So if you want to read through all of those in more detail, and this might be helpful if you are planning on making a Metroidvania. Obviously, it's only one guy's opinion. Some of you might think, well, actually, that's quite interesting, and it lets you see more about my point of view. So between this general page of my likes and dislikes, plus the little tooltips on what I liked and what I didn't like about specific games, hopefully that will give you more of an insight into, well, where is Demajen coming from with this? Why does he think the things that he does? Why has he placed this game that I really like in a tier lower than I think it should be? Not picking out any specific examples there. Why has he put certain games in his S tier when I thought it was D tier material? Why has he not done this? Why does he think this? Hopefully that will answer some of the more general questions about what I like, what I dislike when it comes to Metroidvanias and other games, because there's a lot of crossover between Metroidvanias and other genres. I hope the website updates are to your liking. If there are any other things that you think, yeah, damn it, you should probably think about including that, have a look for those and comment down below. The RSS feed for the website is still, I think, working properly. demajen.co.uk/feed.xml. I think it is for that. If you use RSS readers, you can add that. It will just give you notifications when a new map is updated, uploaded, not updated. That would spam you. We don't want that. But yeah, when a new map is uploaded, or created, I suppose, it should notify you of that. Maybe not quite on the day, because I still have to do it manually, but it is there and it works as far as I know. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for the support. Thank you very much for somehow sticking with me as I ramble for 15 minutes. Have a great day. Bye. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, why not click the like button and consider subscribing. Remember, you can ring the bell notification icon to get notified when new videos go live. And until next time, cheerio.